We can officially say that the new set is only a single week away, and as such, some of our favorite competitors and content creators have resumed more active streaming. For today, we're jumping in game with one of them, that being Kiyoon, who's a little hard to see here at the moment doing the K3 Soju special. Starting out in a 3-cost start, opting to immediately field the Veigar and Rek'Sai. Great early game potential. If you hit that down core, this is going to be extremely strong. Plus, obviously also plays into this Warwick line, which has been tearing the lobbies apart. Probably expected to see some changes right there. We even have this Warwick pair. Generally, artifacts worth mentioning. There are so many lines. We are back in pretty much the set 15 times where artifacts are super strong. So I would be looking out for potential nerfs coming across the board. And yeah, in Warwick's case, maybe some recent change. We even had 4 Blackthorn. That would be tough to play. Blackthorn, a little tough to play around in the early game because you are sacrificing a unit when you only have like 3, 4, or 5 units. Our slam would be the Steadfast. Generally an item that's synergized a little bit better with something else, but our direction-wise, we could also be potentially leaning into these adapters. We obviously opted to give up on the Diana as she does not fit the board as well. Could have paired with Ravager, but we didn't see a Vanguard unit, and Lunar you obviously can't get right away. Calculated a loss would have to be on a watch out. Also worth mentioning, we see that there is a player already with the Warwick too, so they could be potentially contesting. There are a lot of players playing around Coven, so to cash out into something like the Morgana Nidalee line. Therefore, calculators could be tough. We have a potential also to make a strong board. Hustler would be more for your tempo purposes. Hard to cap out, more of a top 4 augment in my opinion. We have the potential for it, but otherwise, you could play it in something like a very strong 1-cost reroll if you are just rolling every single turn, essentially that way. Consuming Flora is an augment that we could be playing into that Soraka flex kind of board. Definitely can pump up that Malphite to become him, to just essentially constantly heal him from these Flora effects coming in. A decent emblem, but I don't think we have the setup for it, at least from the moment. Definitely you want that Rabadon's Deathclap onto that Soraka, and we see that this player already has even 4 Warwick, so he's probably going to be taking that line away from us. So we have to be looking out for any potential lookouts. This is why you should be scouting and evaluating the lobby. Legion of Threes could provide us with some direction. Could be considered as an item augment that we could be capitalizing on a potential for a strong opener. Plus we get that little bit of an extra stat boost that is probably really great on Warwick right here. Booster pack, not the biggest fan. If you have some pairs to complete, as we do, have potentially look for hits. But otherwise it's just generic econ you can be taking, nothing exciting right there. And slamming, we would probably have to be floating our components, as I'm not the biggest fan of slamming the Steadfast right there. And we see that this player also has a trade sector, so they're probably definitely angling that reroll. We're going to be ripping the Legion of Threes and find the Fae emblem. This immediately signals to me, alright, we are probably looking for the potential to play Tristana reroll. Tristana, generally I've found hard time finding success with her really, and we probably want to be buying maybe one of these upgraded units if we invested into this charm. Could be just considering picking up, yeah, Born works. That's just gives us a potential frontliner to be playing around. Could also be now with the Alistar offer, maybe consider pivoting our board to more around the Elderwoods. Though this Azir should be able to do some little bit of a work. Generally playing around 3 cost in early game is not a bad option. Well, you just have to be making note of the balance, how the balance that is. And we see that there's also another calculated loss player in the lobby playing around that Coven, exactly 4 Coven already onto 1 with calc loss. This player is going to definitely be spiking quite hard. But yeah, Tristana with an emblem, I believe the comp gets actually elevated to a playable tier because you can hit 4 Pixie a lot earlier. That allows you to start looking for those golden Pixies, starting to get that recon that is necessary for this line, because it's a 3-cost reroll, right? And 3-cost reroll is generally some of the most expensive comp apart from the very high max cap fast 9 boards. So now if we are angling that, our game plan would be trying to preserve as many lives as we possibly can. The stage 4 is definitely where the 3-cost reroll can be quite vulnerable, and hopefully have a little bit of a life bumper to be able to cash out, stack up those pixies, utilize that extra econ and cash out from there. And you can see he already all slotted in the vibe because we are posting that emblem onto the Savior, and then we can take the Primal Blessing that allows us the opportunity to be farming components. And with these extra components, we can make up for a lack, for example, of an item augment. And definitely should be on the lookout for that possibility that lots of 3-cost rerolls, specifically as you have those 4-cost toads, could be looking to be playing around this component, Primal. Otherwise, taking the healing one or the execute one, as for example in an Italy line, if you do not have the HP buffer to be farming those components, as you are getting the late value, right? You want at least about, like I would say, 50 HP. Then taking the execute on Italy is quite good for Tristana. Potentially execute could be decent. Sivir still has a lot of these chunks that she can be tossing around. We are going to be picking up a bow from the carousel. Tristana, one of those users that actually makes use of that Rage Blade, because she has that. Her ability essentially scales off the amount of times you've attacked, right, and that starts up some damage. There is a time window when associated with it, so getting these extra attacks in is quite good, and that is the design of a spell you're looking out for the Rageblade holder. Recently, Aphilio's got a little bit of a change in his ability as well, so make him a more inclined Rageblade user. They are trying to get these Rageblade users going as well. People find Rageblade a lot of fun, but the item itself has to remain understated because of the potential scaling effect he provides, especially in lower elos where the fights are a little bit longer. They can be scaling up quite fast because players are essentially not building as high damage of a board. That is the general gist. We're going to be unfortunately going on a 4 loss here. 80 HP, decently healthy, but our board is not really resembling anything particularly strong. We have managed to slot in 2 Pixie and have this Mama Beak in a backline that could theoretically be holding on to our Tristana items until we get to her. But otherwise our board, as I've been yapping out throughout here, hasn't truly became noticeably decent. We remake an Ornn too. We thankfully get another bow right there, but we do. The last Whisper is probably a slam that we could be going for. I'm going to be opening the Streetline 3 Elderwood. Now we have some frontline resemblance at least. Kiyoon hasn't been playing that much of this set, but yeah, okay, he moves the flower back, that's good. Get that scaling going, try to keep it a little bit of alive. Don't need it fully protected, but you could be just tossing it in the opposite corner to spread out your backline a little bit. Just so the units have to walk a little bit around, but we're going to ending up on a 5 loss, so we're probably angling from this point already, rolling on 3-5, trying to find maybe a little bit more econ for a possibility, and something like Cognitive Overload. It's an econ augment, we can probably defaulting that. Cybernetic Uplink greater in your API comms, especially when you have used that tier. Solo play theoretically shouldn't be bad at all on Aramis. Ramos should be a great holder. One set against him, like last set, the Ramos in the Corki Raven line was good with that solo plate augment, but we probably want econ as we have to be playing from a loss streak. We want to be stabilizing verticality. Vertical's a little bit suffering at the moment, but it should still be decent in those lines, particularly compared to something like the it was trade 3. No, it was the Climb the Ladder right there, there you go. That required your champions to die. This gains immediate effect, so it's theoretically a little bit better version of that. Pilfer, we do not have the strongest board to be capitalizing on it. There is delayed value in the TG, so we're just ripping the econ augment, identifying what exactly we need. Alright, he has a Hound sponsor. Congrats to him right now. If anyone needs a Hound Dog cord, be on the lookout right there. Alright, but our item situation, we have this chain for frontline that's going to be sufficient. We are holding off from slamming that last Whisper. I am not particularly sure. I mean, okay, we want to secure that Rage Blade, but then we slammed the Kraken instead of going for something like the Gargoyle Stoneblade. This Coven player already has found also a Morgana, so they have a possibility for extremely high cash out, most likely angling that Morgana Nidalee line right away. Definitely a fun line to be looking out for. I would expecting some nerfs for it to come through before we hit live, but good line to practice. There is some flexibility, not only be playing around that Vanguard frontline, you have some ways to maneuver it, also synergizes greatly with Vanguard Emblem. This player has managed to, with Trade Sector, find the RFC as well, if I believe, probably from the Artifictinate Charm, which is generally a great pickup in whenever you are playing in these lines that can utilize a lot of artifacts, and there are so many at the moment. And yeah, so he's just going to be rolling us, and we have broken our streak once again. That is a little bit of a crucial thing because we just missed out on about 5 gold. That's a lot of gold, especially since we have to be angling this roll down right here. We are 60 HP, which is, well, maybe not the worst. At least we have been able to kill some units. But we haven't gained a lot of value from our Fey Augment right away, and we are going to be looking to stabilize. Find the Tarek immediately, that's a huge high roll for ourselves, gives us the possibility to stabilize. Find immediately that Tristana, find the Vi 2, amazing for ourselves, and Tristana 2, this is the best case scenario you can be hoping for onto this 3-5 roll down. We can immediately be slamming our items, complete the Rage Blade right away, get this Fey Emblem on the Tarek, that's whatever, it's completely fine. Holding off from the slams, our front lines, we believe that the static should be sufficient enough, and with the Tristana 2 in the backline, we should be able to hopefully close out this stage on a 2-win, rebounding ourselves, giving us at least that we can be losing about 3 rounds, 4 rounds if necessary. Full loss could take us out on stage 4, but if we can scam a single round, particularly the 4-run round, that's going to be good. Filling into Respike and get a little bit more attack speed into this Tristana right there. Still looking out for the possibility for frontline upgrades, and find that for Faye, going to be slotting, and then find that Kobuko 2 as an upgrade for ourselves. Now we can be starting to attracting more and more pixies. I believe it does do work a little bit retroactively, but thankfully that we have now stabilized, we should be able, with the 4 Faye, and right away it's going to be working a lot faster. You can see the counter going up. And once we hit 7, we're going to be starting to print gold, and the gold amount is actually quite surprisingly good. Two more Tristanas. This is paying off from all those low roll shops at the start. Amazing spot. That's going to be taxing our econ a little bit, but it looks like we might be also chasing that Y3 instead of another Tristana. Holy, alright, now we can see we're definitely rolling. As long as we're able to secure a 3-star frontline as well, we have to be on the lookout, because Rammus and why it could be a little bit contested. Also wanted to obviously roll for Charm. That was also another reason why we rolled before that stage 3-6 round, and find the Seaver right there. So still holding off from the frontline slams. I believe this Cassiopeia could potentially be a threat for ourselves, and exactly that it is. This was the round that we potentially wanted to win, but we could see this player already went at level 8. And we still do not have anti-armor, so we probably have to be holding off from slamming potentially glove or the belt. And we are most likely looking for a frontline for items, because we want to hit our frontline. We have equal, we are in decent spot our units wise. We have managed to high roll that part, but if we do not stabilize ourselves with items, we're going to be in a tough bit. Commerce Core therefore is not a viable pick for ourselves. We would have to be sending it for 3 stars, but if you don't have your 3 stars itemized, this is not going to have a value for you. Call to Chaos generally can be considered as an item augment, because the 40% of the 4 to 10 cash outs are related to items, but it's a gamba. If we hit something like the level XP, we just instantly lose our game on the spot. Therefore, we probably just have to default this Gurf's grab bag, because it's items. Yeah, we could probably figure something out with the spatula. Probably, because we want to be capping our Gnar, we could just be going for 5 strike, not destroying the stuff, the breakpoints, but it's something that we can be utilizing it for. And we definitely want to sort out our anti-armor, we want to sort out our tanks, so we just have to be defaulting items. The crucial part is identifying which type of element you can click, and if you're going to be clicking in the right spot, you're going to be fine. Not the best augment, okay, Vandal Overflow, you know, use a little bit of your head, don't click at that in an AD line, but if you need items, just click an item augment, that makes sense. Might not be the strongest one, but it's generally going to have the most benefit for you, unless something extraordinary shows up. 1 copy away from this Tristana, so could be considering potentially sending it, going to be picking up a temporary Warmog, so probably happy to be sitting here. Could give up onto this Tarek. He has done his job, he has allowed ourselves to be stabilized right there. Completes some frontline items. Sunfire, we need yeah, we need that. I don't know, he could be considering making it a Fey emblem here, which would allow us to give up onto this Zaya for now, but we want to be slotting in Lilia nonetheless. And then simply, I believe the Rakan fits in nicely, giving us here Juggernauts. Could be chasing potentially a better Juggernaut. If we wanted to. Wow, the shops have been very kind for us, but we see that there's a Mumu that would be a suitable replacement, has already been taken out. The shops have been kind on our Tristanas. This is definitely going to help us stabilize. Obviously, we're a little bit low on the gold, but hitting around 4-3 is definitely ahead of pace. And we are at a crucial point. We are at 36 lives, so because we lost those 2 rounds, so we are looking to be stabilizing as much as we can. Do not want to be dropping down to a single life, because given how popular Fast 9 is, someone could just be taking us out. So we want that buffer. Have a potential for. I mean, if we could get a pan, that would be great. Seems that someone's gunning for it. Yeah, unfortunately going to be taken away from ourselves. Still probably looking for completing the last frontline item. And that's looks like, yeah, we're going to be going with the Steadfast. I don't think I caught if we picked up the primal that's going to be printing components. In this kind of spot, I would be leaning potentially more towards either, because we wanted frontline, could have just taken the healing with the turtle, the healing one for the extra frontline support, but now that we have Cape Leader, maybe the Execute is good. We'll have to be on the lookout if Execute in this kind of a place would be good. We do not have items for the Sivir just yet, so Execute might, because it only works onto the primal units might not have as much of a use right away. So probably the turtle one would have been good. Also gives more time for this Tristana to be scaling. You can see it every single turn, rolling for that charm. Find a Lilia, so going to be slotting it in. Yeah, I mean, we can be slotting Tariq in. So yeah, this Rakan generally is a great linking unit throughout the whole set. Also great to be playing around early game, gives you that many options to the different lines, and so quite a few lines utilize them in the later stages of the game, particularly the ones you pair together with Lilia. And that's why just holding on to this guy is going to be good. Now our Fae is going to start to finally rebound our econ, so we can be hopefully chasing this Y3, still at 6 copies, so we're going to be hitting our Y a little bit off base because we have bait attacks for rolling deep, but thankfully we managed to stabilize ourselves in a middling positioning here into the lobby, and if we're able to hopefully pick up another round because the leveling intervals are back to 5-2, against maybe potentially someone who's sacking to go 9, we might be in a good spot. Malphite 2 coming out, this is going to take a lot of time. We definitely want to be looking for another potential to now itemize our Sivir, going to be positioning that Gunblade right there. That's a great pickup, going to give us frontline survivability, likely potentially Sprite and Emblem and Spear of Shojin just for this. I think that's probably the neatest way to complete our itemization right there. A little slow on those slams, and this Brambleback makes it to our backline, and the Sivir on the opposite side with the Collector. You can see a lot of players angling those artifacts, even if they're not the ones that come most apparent to your mind right away. Just knowing those is going to give you definitely an edge when the set launches. I do not expect the balance changes to come through as fast. One away from Rammus, could be potentially considering sending it here. Finally find Rakan 2 though, and Lilia 2. As usual, the final copy is not going to be coming, so we're going to be temporarily probably transitioning the items over here to this Lilia Protector as well. Works great on her, and spam this Frauchen Emblem just on Vi for the frontline purposes. Is weirder further away from her than this Rammus. Against the what seems to be Enzo here, rerolling Cassiopeia Fiddle without the double trouble. That's also probably another reason why we were able to hit the Tristana so early, as a lot of 3-cost other were also being pulled out. Does not seem that he managed to succeed as much, and yeah, sell Rammus immediately. Rammus in the next shop. Took the gamble. Should have we done so? Are we expecting something extremely high? Well, there is Krog 3, Warwick 3 with RFC, and another artifact there onto that Merkwolf. We're going to be having a lack of frontline probably to deal with this Warwick. This getting extremely close, and the Sivir is able to clean up the fight with the double ricochet in the end. Wow, that's a huge win for ourselves, and pretty much puts us in a comfortable position to be top 4 if you're able to take out such a strong board right there. And we have definitely went for probably the defensive Primordian right there. This is why I wasn't maybe the biggest of a fan of just giving up on this Rammus. Thankfully, we're able to find this Y3 right now, but we have to be transitioning items. Picked up the Declaw. Sunfire is generally not the item you want on your final board tank if you possibly can, as in you just want to be moving it to off tank. If you have, obviously for tempo purposes, slam that thing. It's amazing in stage 2. Going up against, but it seems another Fae Emblem here. The cash out actually, yeah, went into that Nidalee Morgana line, and we're going to be having doubles completing against her. This Morgana is just tickling at our backline. We're dropping down to a single life. Probably this was maybe the reason actually he was so, I cannot lose another fight, because this player in the lobby exists. Even with Y3 we can see we are going to have a lot of troubles, and especially if you're clumped up like this, where the Morgana is guaranteed to be starting to take away at our backline. Though we cannot really separate the Sivir and the Tristana. Do not get the last second swap off, and our Tristana is going to be having to get, well, thankfully we have the bounces to be able to get the last whisper onto the Mordekaiser, and the Vi is going to be putting in work. The Declaw coming in clutch right there to be able to pick up that, stalling this Zyra and Soraka, able to give us a crucial win that secures ourselves a top 4. So are we able to squeeze out another couple of placements, because we know the doom is pretty much impending at this point, with the Macbee coming in right there with that Coven cash out into one of the strongest lines in the game once again, and we are going to be probably looking to push level 8 and see if we can maybe just high roll Agnar from the sky. I mean, we high rolled the Tariq before, why not just give it a shot? Going to be picking up the duplicator champ, but you remember, you have to be lookout on these PvE rounds. When it comes up after PvE round, be on the lookout on whom your highest damage dealer is. It's in this case it wasn't our Tristana. Get Ivern and immediate 2 hex value right there. they managed to swap their Mordekaiser, and our Y is going to be not exposed exactly right away to their tanks, but thankfully our Dust of the Frontline is still durable enough that we're able to secure the top 3 placement right there. And now we have to just hope for a high roll in matchmaking. That is the only way how probably we can be securing a top 2. I do not see ourselves winning the fight against an Italy Morgana line that has been absolute on a tear this last few days, was pretty much this whole weekend. Thankfully we high roll the matchmaking where our Vi is right in front of this Ashen Sivir as well as the Brambleback. Take the Brambleback back, he did not get any of the resets, the cannon goes on our backline, but we're able to retarget on him right away, and we secure a win against Broken, dropping them to his 2 points of lives. Every single unit there mattered right away, because we know that the next fight for both of us is going to be against the Coven player who has just hit level 10, so we probably should be angling possibility to align ourselves in a way that we can kill the most amount of units. Did not even scout, just going to be sending it right through this Derek. Did not really truly spread our frontline backline but either, and this Morgana is going to be chipping away at our frontline while we're scouting. They got the ghost, so they have the theoretical advantage. We're going to be taking a full unit loss pretty much, but the 2 lives the unit difference that we secured just a fight before is going to make the difference for us to top 2. Another fundamentally sound game from Kiyoon, showing how he's getting back in shape, ready for the new set launch. Realized already on 2-1 that our opener is going to be contested, therefore we have to be looking for a potential to pivot off. Therefore click this emblem augment, which locked us a clear direction. Had a little bit of a rough start, but we're not afraid to be sending it on 3-2, and it paid off. We were able to pick up this Rustana 3 quite fast. Did not exactly reach the max cap with the Ramastery alongside, but recognize that there is an extremely strong player in the lobby, therefore we need to be spiking right away and secure every single win, because we are guaranteed to be losing to him, and this is exactly what allowed us to secure this top 2 placement, clicking the augments appropriate in their category when necessary, and playing around what the lobby dynamic is. It is something that should always be on your mind if you want to be gaining those 1 or 2 placements, just like Kiyoon displayed. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.